The colony of Tyrannus 7 stretched across a harsh, rocky plateau beneath a sky tinted green from the planet's atmosphere. Humans had settled here decades ago, building the settlement with ingenuity, courage, and sheer determination. Every structure, every pipe, and every system in the colony had been carefully planned. Water, the most vital resource, ran through a network of pipes that pulsed life into every habitat, laboratory, and greenhouse. Without it, the settlement would not survive. Romy stood at the edge of the new excavation site. He was lean and strong, wearing a reinforced suit that kept him safe from the cold air and falling debris of the caves below. His task was simple in words but complex in execution. He had to lay new pipes to expand the water network and ensure that oxygenated water reached the colony's newest sectors. However, the challenge lay in the cave system. The passages twisted, split, and sank deep beneath the surface. The pipes he carried could go in multiple directions, but choosing the wrong one could flood the colony or leave entire sections without water. The robotic supervisors, the Zytrons, hovered nearby. Their sleek metal forms reflected the faint light of the colony. Their optics glowed softly as they scanned the area. Unlike humans, they lacked intuition. Their programming could calculate and analyze, but it could not feel, sense, or imagine the possibilities hidden in an irregular cave. "Romy," one of the Zytrons said, its voice clear and mechanical. "Proceed with the pipe installation. Optimal route is marked in yellow. Any deviation may reduce system efficiency by 15%. Romy nodded. He checked the yellow markers painted along the walls and floor of the cave. He knew efficiency mattered, but survival mattered more. The pipes were heavy, made of a composite that could withstand high pressure. One misstep could bend them, crack them, or worse, send water into places it should not be. He began his descent. The ladder creaked beneath his boots and dust fell around him. As he reached the bottom, he knelt and inspected the network. The main lines split in several directions, each marked with color codes. Yellow led one way, red another, and green branched into a narrower tunnel. Some pipes appeared unused, hidden behind rock or wrapped in protective coverings. Romy's eyes traced each one carefully. Humans had a way of seeing patterns that machines could not. Romy tilted his head, observing the curves and bends of the pipes. He ran his fingers along the smooth surfaces, feeling for subtle vibrations. Some pipes were pressurized, others empty. He noted the pressure differences, comparing them with his memory of the colony's system charts. The Zytrons hovered closer, their sensors scanning every move. "Deviation detected," one said. "Romy, adhere to yellow markers. Safety and efficiency are priority." Romy smiled, a small gesture in the quiet cave. "I understand," he said. "I am evaluating the full system before proceeding." He moved slowly, careful not to disturb loose rocks. The cave walls were jagged and a sudden slip could send a pipe crashing down. Each section of the network demanded attention. The first few meters were simple. He connected pipes, sealing joints, and tightening clamps. The flow of water was steady, but Romy knew this was only the beginning. Suddenly, a faint hum reached his ears. It was not mechanical. It was the sound of water moving under pressure in a pipe that had not been in use for years. He followed the sound, crouching low, and saw a hidden tunnel behind a pile of debris. The pipe inside was thin, almost invisible, but it carried pressure that suggested it could supply more water than the main line. Romy's heart raced. Humans often noticed what machines overlooked. He examined the pipe, feeling its vibrations with his fingers. It was old but solid. A risk could be taken to connect it, but only if the calculations were precise. "Romy," one Zytron called, "do not explore unmarked areas. Efficiency loss is possible." "Risk detected," Romy nodded. "I will proceed carefully," he said, keeping his focus on the pipe. Hours passed. The cave was silent except for the sound of water dripping and the hum of distant machinery. Romy worked with determination, moving pipe sections, welding joints, and checking each connection. The air grew thick with dust, but he pressed on. He paused and studied the main junction where several lines met. One pipe led to the older sectors of the colony, another to the greenhouses, and a third twisted downward into an unexplored cavity. The Zytrons wanted him to follow the yellow markers, but Romy sensed that the unexplored pipe could carry water to areas the colony planned to expand. He traced the hidden pipe with a small sensor, noting the pressure and flow. It was risky, but the numbers suggested a possibility. Humans were capable of imagination and careful judgment at the same time. Machines could calculate, but they could not imagine the benefits of connecting an unknown route. Romy's mind worked quickly. He measured distances, estimated flow rates, and calculated the support needed for the pipe. By mid-afternoon, he began laying the first section of the hidden pipe. It was heavy and awkward, but Romy adjusted with skill. The walls were rough, and he had to secure supports to prevent slipping. He worked steadily, aware that any mistake could damage the pipe or trigger a leak. The Zytrons monitored him, confused by his choice. Their programming did not understand why a human would risk more for a potential gain. Romy did not mind. He knew humans thrived on challenges that machines feared. As he finished the first segment, a faint rumble shook the cave. Dust fell from the ceiling. Romy froze, listening. A small rock slide blocked part of the path, but the pipe remained intact. He moved carefully, removing debris, and checked each joint. The flow of water was steady, stable. He paused to rest, leaning against a wall. The cave was quiet again. He felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing he had chosen a path no Zytron would have considered. Humans had an advantage. Intuition combined with courage and skill. By evening, Romy had connected several sections of the new pipe. The flow to the colony's new sectors was now possible, though not fully activated. He checked the measurements one last time and sent data to the Zytrons. Pipe sections laid, he reported. System is stable. Further expansion possible if hidden routes are included. The Zytrons analyzed the data, their glowing optics reflecting the calculations. After a moment, one spoke. Human intuition exceeded programming expectations. Further evaluation required. Romy smiled quietly. He knew this was only the beginning. The cave network was vast and many challenges awaited, but humans were capable of creativity, judgment, and risk-taking in ways machines could never match. He adjusted his tools and prepared for the next phase of the mission. The sun of Taranis 7 had set, casting long shadows across the rocky plateau. Romy's work in the cave was far from complete, but his first day had already shown the difference a human could make. Where machines calculated limits, humans imagined possibilities. Where machines followed rules, humans created solutions. As he rested in the cave, listening to the gentle flow of water through the pipes, Romy thought about the colony above. The people who relied on this network would never know the risks he had taken, the choices he had made, or the paths no machine would have chosen. Yet the water would reach them. The greenhouses would flourish. The habitats would remain safe, and Romy knew deep in his heart that humans were capable of extraordinary things, even in the silent, twisting caves of a distant planet. The next day, Romy returned to the cave with renewed determination. The hidden pipe he had discovered the day before pulsed faintly with water, hinting at untapped potential. He knew the colony relied on him, and each section he laid strengthened the lifeline of Taranis 7. His steps echoed in the twisting corridors, mixing with the faint hum of the flowing water. The cave smelled of damp rock and mineral dust, a reminder of how remote and fragile the underground world was. Romy carried new pipe sections on his back, secured with straps, each one heavy but manageable for his strong human frame. He paused at the first junction. Yesterday he had laid the initial sections, but today the real test began. The cave ahead was narrow, uneven, and partially collapsed in some areas. Moving forward required careful planning. The Zytrons accompanied him, hovering silently. Their glowing eyes scanned the walls, calculating pressures, structural weaknesses, and angles. They could analyze data at incredible speed, but they lacked human judgment. They could not predict how a rock might shift, how a pipe might flex under subtle weight changes, or how intuition could see a better path. Romy, one Zytron said in a metallic voice, the primary yellow route is available. Suggested action is to continue along yellow. Hidden routes present risk and inefficiency. Romy looked at the yellow markers on the wall. Following them would be simple. It would be safe. But he glanced at the narrow cavity that led to the hidden pipe. Remembering the water pressure he had sensed the day before, that pipe could supply a far greater flow to areas the colony had planned to expand. Choosing it carried risk, but Romy understood that sometimes the greatest reward required calculated danger. I will evaluate the path, Romy said. Risk can be managed. He advanced slowly, sliding pipe sections into place. His fingers gripped the rock walls as he maneuvered in tight spaces. Dust fell from above, and he carefully adjusted each section to avoid knocking debris onto himself or the pipe. Every connection had to be precise. A misaligned joint could compromise the flow or cause a leak that might take days to repair. As he reached a particularly narrow section, the cave trembled. Small rocks fell around him. Romy froze, listening intently. The cave's ceiling had loosened slightly. The vibrations came from deep underground, a subtle reminder that Tyrannus 7 was built on a living, shifting planet. Caution, warned the Zytron hovering nearby. Structural instability detected. Proceed with caution. Recommended route is backtracking to safe zone. Romy shook his head. Retreat would waste time, and the hidden pipe required forward progress. He assessed the rocks with his human senses, testing their stability by tapping lightly. He could feel which rocks were loose and which were firmly wedged. Using a small hand tool, he reinforced the edges, creating a safe passage. Once the area was secure, he moved forward, sliding pipe segments along the ground and fitting them into place. The hum of water in the hidden pipe grew louder. It was a faint music, an underground river waiting to be connected. Romy adjusted each connection with care, tightening clamps, sealing joints, and checking the pressure. Hours passed. The cave became more treacherous as he advanced. He faced narrow drops, slippery walls, and uneven floors. He had to climb over jagged rock formations and squeeze through tight gaps. The Zytrons calculated optimal movement paths, but Romy relied on his instincts. He felt the weight of the pipes, sensed the balance of the rocks, and anticipated how the sections would shift as he installed them. Suddenly, a loud rumble echoed through the cave. A section of rock collapsed near the junction where two pipes met. Dust filled the air, and Romy coughed, waving his arm to clear his mask. The Zytrons hovered back, analyzing the collapse. Obstacle detected, said one. Recommended action. Remove debris and follow yellow markers. Risk exceeds acceptable parameters. Romy examined the collapsed section. The pipes were unharmed, but the path was partially blocked. He assessed the remaining space and saw an opportunity. By carefully removing debris and adjusting supports, he could continue along the hidden pipe without damaging the system. Using a small, precise tool, Romy began shifting rocks. He worked slowly, one stone at a time, ensuring that none fell on the pipes or himself. His hands were steady, his mind focused. Humans could adapt to unpredictability in ways machines could not. A Zytron might have stopped entirely, following strict safety protocols. Romy relied on judgment, patience, and skill. After what seemed like hours, he cleared the obstruction. The hidden pipe was now fully accessible. Romy inspected the pressure gauges and sensors he had installed the previous day. The flow was stable, but connecting it fully required careful timing. He calculated the exact moment to open the valve so that water would move without causing shock to the system. Romy, said a Zytron, system calibration is complete. Water distribution is optimal if standard route is followed. Hidden route may exceed risk parameters. Romy smiled faintly. He trusted his calculations. He opened the valve slowly, allowing the water to enter the hidden pipe. The flow was smooth, controlled. Pressure levels adjusted naturally, and the sensors confirmed that the pipe could carry far more water than anticipated. The Zytrons observed silently. Their programming could register success, but they could not understand the intuition and risk assessment that led to it. Romy knew humans had an edge in situations where calculation alone was not enough. As he continued laying pipe sections, Romy reflected on the difference between humans and machines. Machines followed rules and data. Humans could imagine possibilities, see patterns hidden in chaos, and take calculated risks that yielded extraordinary results. This hidden pipe was proof. By mid-evening, the section of hidden pipe was fully connected. Romy ran final tests, checking flow, pressure, and stability. The cave trembled occasionally, but the reinforced supports and precise installation kept the system intact. The Zytrons finally spoke. Human intervention successful. Hidden route is functional. Efficiency increased by 30% beyond initial predictions. Romy nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. His arms ached from the heavy lifting and dust coated his suit. Yet he felt a quiet satisfaction. The mission was progressing, and he had proven that human ingenuity could achieve what machines alone could not. As he packed his tools, he noticed another anomaly in the cave. A narrow passage led deeper into the rock, and faint vibrations suggested another hidden water channel. The Zytrons had not detected it, Romy crouched to inspect, realizing that the underground network still held secrets waiting to be discovered. He took careful notes and marked the location on his digital map. Tomorrow he would explore further. For now, he returned to the surface, carrying the last pipe section. The colony above was quiet, the sun casting long greenish shadows across the rocky terrain. Humans thrived on challenges. Romy understood that each obstacle, each risk, was an opportunity to create something better. The hidden pipe he had connected would supply more water to the colony, enabling expansion and growth. The Zytrons had calculated efficiency, but Romy had created a solution beyond calculation. That night, as Romy rested in the colony barracks, he thought about the journey ahead. The cave system was vast, full of unknown dangers and hidden opportunities. Each pipe he laid, each obstacle he overcame would demonstrate the difference humans could make. Machines followed rules, but humans could imagine, adapt, and succeed where logic alone failed. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new paths to explore, and more pipes to lay. Romy felt ready. The mission was far from over, but each step proved that human creativity and courage could turn uncertainty into achievement. The water network of Tyrannus 7 was growing, and with it, the proof that humans could make a difference in even the most alien and dangerous environments. The hum of the hidden pipe echoed in his mind, a quiet song of possibility. Romy smiled, knowing that the next challenge would test him again. And he was ready. Humans were made for challenges, and this mission was only the beginning. Romy returned to the cave early the next morning. The greenish light filtering through the colony's thin atmosphere cast strange shadows over the rocky terrain. His mind was focused on the mission ahead. The hidden pipe he had connected yesterday had proven its worth, and the colony's water system was more efficient. Yet Romy knew the cave system held more secrets. Every corner, every narrow passage could hide another opportunity to improve the network. He packed his tools carefully, ensuring nothing was left behind that could slow him down. His reinforced suit reflected the dim light, and his boots crunched against the rocky surface as he approached the cave entrance. The Zytrons followed, silent and precise. Their programming allowed them to monitor Romy's every move, but it could not predict the sudden, subtle decisions he often made. "Romy," one Zytron said, "all systems report stability. Hidden pipe functioning within optimal parameters. Exploration of further areas may exceed safe limits. Recommendation: continue with current network." Romy shook his head slightly. "Efficiency is good, but the system can be better. I need to explore." The Zytrons processed the statement but did not respond. They did not argue, only hovered, their glowing optics scanning the terrain. Romy stepped into the cave, and the air grew cooler and damper. The smell of stone and underground water filled his mask. The sound of his boots echoed against the walls. He reached the junction near the hidden pipe from the previous day. The water hummed softly through the new sections, carrying oxygenated water toward the colony. Romy knelt to check pressure levels and sensor readings. Everything looked steady, yet his instincts told him that a larger untapped section might exist deeper in the cave. He followed a narrow, twisting passage that veered off from the main path. The walls were jagged and the ground uneven. Small rocks shifted under his weight, and he placed his feet carefully to maintain balance. The Zytrons hovered behind, their sensors scanning for structural weaknesses, but Romy relied on his intuition. He felt the vibration of the rock, sensed the subtle air currents, and guessed where the passage would lead. After some time, he reached a small chamber hidden behind a rock formation. Dust filled the air as he stepped inside, and a faint hum drew his attention. There it was, a pipe completely hidden from the main tunnels. It was thin and partially corroded, yet the vibrations suggested strong water pressure. No Zytron had detected it. It was invisible to their calculations, but Romy had found it through observation and instinct. He knelt beside the pipe and ran his fingers along it, feeling the hum of the water. It was strong, steady, and full of potential. Connecting it to the main network could dramatically improve water flow and efficiency. The thought excited him. Humans could see opportunities that machines often missed. Romy carefully inspected the joints and clamps, noting their condition. He realized that activating this pipe would require precision. The old sections were fragile, and any miscalculation could rupture the system. Romy took out a small toolkit and sensor, checking pressure readings and flow rates. He mapped out the connections mentally, imagining the sequence needed to integrate this hidden pipe safely. This could change everything, Romy said quietly to himself. The Zytrons observed silently, their processors analyzing the new data. Hours passed as Romy prepared the integration. He reinforced old pipe sections with careful adjustments and installed temporary supports to prevent any damage. The narrow chamber required him to work in uncomfortable positions, yet his human endurance kept him steady. He adjusted valves and seals, testing each connection one by one. Finally, he was ready. He opened the valve slowly, allowing water to flow into the hidden pipe. Sensors beeped softly, measuring pressure and stability. The pipe accepted the flow, carrying it efficiently toward the colony. Romy monitored every reading, ready to make instant adjustments. The effect was immediate. Water pressure in the main network improved beyond expectations. The new pipe carried more water than Romy had calculated. Areas that had received minimal flow before now had a steady supply. The greenhouses, the habitats, and the laboratories would benefit greatly. The Zytrons registered the change. Human intervention successful. Efficiency increased by 42% beyond previous predictions, one said. Romy smiled. Machines could calculate limits, but humans could push boundaries. They could see hidden opportunities and act decisively. This was the difference that made humans valuable, even in a world full of logic-driven machines. Yet Romy knew the cave still held challenges. A section ahead twisted downward into a narrow, dark tunnel. The hidden pipe led in that direction, but the passage was tight and unstable. Moving further would require careful planning and precision. Romy measured distances, tested airflow, and examined the rock formations. He calculated supports and placements for new pipe sections. As he progressed, he noticed another faint hum. It was not as strong as the hidden pipe, but it suggested another channel of water, perhaps partially blocked or abandoned. Romy crouched to inspect, brushing away loose rocks. The channel appeared small, almost insignificant, yet his instincts told him it could be important. Humans often notice the small details machines overlooked. He carefully traced the channel, adjusting his tools to fit in the tight space. He could see where the pipe had been damaged in the past. It required repair, but the potential flow was considerable. Romy's mind raced with possibilities. Connecting this secondary channel could create a backup system, ensuring water would always reach critical sectors even if main lines failed. The Zytrons hovered closer, cautious. Secondary channel presents risk. Recommended action, leave channel inactive. Romy shook his head. The system can handle it. Risk can be managed. He began the repair, sealing cracks, tightening clamps, and adjusting supports. Working in the cramped space required patience, but Romy persisted. His hands moved with skill and precision, guided by intuition and experience. Hours passed and the channel gradually became functional. Finally, he opened the valves. Water flowed steadily, feeding the main network through the new secondary channel. The pressure stabilized and the readings confirmed success. The colony now had an efficient primary flow and a reliable backup system, thanks to Romy's human ingenuity. Exhausted but satisfied, Romy paused to observe the chamber. The hidden pipe and secondary channel glowed faintly with moisture, a quiet testament to human capability. The Zytrons recorded all data, noting the increase in efficiency. Yet they could not comprehend the human process that led to it. Logic alone could not replicate insight, creativity, and careful risk-taking. Romy reflected on the journey. The caves of Tirana 7 were unpredictable, full of hidden opportunities and dangers. A machine could follow rules, calculate limits, and monitor sensors. A human could see patterns, imagine solutions, and act decisively. The difference was clear, and Romy felt pride in what he had achieved. As he prepared to leave the chamber, he noticed a faint inscription on the wall. It was old, perhaps left by a previous explorer, marking a direction toward an even deeper network. Romy's curiosity sparked. Humans were explorers by nature. Machines could guide and support, but discovery required human courage and initiative. He carefully mapped the inscription in his digital log. Tomorrow he would follow the path, exploring further into the unknown. Each step could bring new challenges, but it could also reveal hidden potential that no machine could foresee. Humans thrived in uncertainty, and Romy was living proof. The sun above the plateau was setting, casting long shadows across the rocky landscape. Romy returned to the colony with a sense of accomplishment. The hidden pipe and secondary channel would change the colony's water network forever. The greenhouses would flourish, the habitats would be safe, and the laboratories would continue their research without interruption. The Zytrons recognized the improvement but could not grasp the intuition behind it. Romy smiled, knowing that human creativity and courage had made the difference. Where machines calculated, humans imagined. Where machines followed rules, humans discovered solutions. That night, as Romy rested, he thought about the challenges ahead. The caves were vast, full of unknown paths, hidden channels, and secret opportunities. Each discovery strengthened the colony and proved that humans were capable of extraordinary achievements. Romy closed his eyes, listening to the faint hum of the hidden pipes below. The water flowed steadily, a quiet reminder that human ingenuity had reshaped the network. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new discoveries, and perhaps new hidden pipes. Romy was ready. Humans thrived in the unknown, and this mission would prove it again and again. The morning light of Tirana 7 crept over the rocky plateau, casting long green shadows across the colony. Romy tightened his suit and adjusted the straps holding his tools. Today was the most critical part of his mission. He had laid many sections of pipe, discovered hidden channels, and integrated them into the colony's network. Yet one final challenge awaited him, the main junction where the most important decisions would be made. This junction would determine how water flowed to the colony's growing sectors. The Zytrons followed him silently, their metal forms gleaming in the weak light. They had monitored Romy's progress for days, recording every move and calculation. Now they would present him with a choice. Machines followed protocols. They calculated risk and efficiency. Humans relied on intuition, imagination, and careful judgment. Today, Romy's human intuition would be tested. He arrived at the central junction, a vast chamber deep beneath the plateau. 3 main pipes converged here. One was marked yellow, the standard route, safe but limited in flow. Another was red, designed to feed older sectors, reliable but unable to support expansion. The third pipe, unmarked and narrow, twisted downward into a dark hidden cavity. Romy had studied it briefly before, but he had not yet assessed its full potential. A Zytron hovered above the junction. Romy, selection required. Recommended. Follow yellow for optimal safety and efficiency. Alternative routes present risk beyond acceptable parameters. Romy studied the pipes carefully. He could choose the safe path, ensuring no disruptions. He could follow the red path, serving the old sectors well. Or he could take the hidden path, risky but capable of supplying water to the colony's new expansion areas. Choosing the hidden pipe would require precise adjustments, careful support, and confidence in his own judgment. Romy's mind raced. Humans had a unique advantage. They could weigh risk against potential gain. Machines calculated probability, but could not imagine what was possible. Romy's instincts told him that the hidden pipe, though narrow and dangerous, could change the colony's future. Expansion areas would have water, greenhouses would flourish, and research sectors would thrive. He knelt beside the hidden pipe, examining its condition. The metal was old but sturdy. Small fractures were present, but he could reinforce them. The path was tight, requiring careful maneuvering to avoid damage. Romy calculated the supports he would need, the angle for each joint, and the sequence to integrate the pipe fully. Humans could see a solution as a whole, not just as a series of calculations. "Romy," said the Zytron, "risk exceeds programmed limits. Recommendation, adhere to yellow." Romy shook his head. "Limits can be managed," he said calmly. "This pipe will serve more areas and improve overall efficiency." He began work, placing temporary supports along the narrow walls. Each pipe section was heavy, but Romy lifted and positioned them with skill and precision. The cave walls were jagged, and he had to squeeze through tight spaces, avoiding rocks that could shift. Dust filled the air, and the faint hum of flowing water echoed from the hidden pipe below. Hours passed. Romy tightened clamps, sealed joints, and adjusted the flow with careful precision. The Zytrons monitored every movement, recording the adjustments and checking sensor data. They noted the risk but could not understand the reasoning behind his choices. Romy relied on both experience and intuition. Machines had rules. Humans had creativity. As he connected the final sections, the hidden pipe shuddered slightly under pressure. Romy paused, checking the supports. He adjusted a clamp, shifted a brace, and tested the flow. The vibration stabilized. The pipe could handle the pressure. His calculations had been correct. Romy, said the Zetron, pipe integrity acceptable. Risk managed. Monitoring continues, Romy smiled faintly. Machines could see stability, but they could not see the ingenuity that made it possible. He activated the final valves, allowing water to flow fully through the hidden pipe. Sensors beeped softly, confirming the increase in efficiency. The hidden route carried water to the expansion areas as he had predicted. The effect was immediate. Greenhouses received more water. Laboratories had steady supply, and new habitat sections now had a reliable source. The colony's network was stronger than ever. Romy adjusted minor flow rates, ensuring even distribution. Humans could notice subtleties that machines could not, fine-tuning systems with judgment that went beyond calculations. The Zytrons finally spoke, their voice even but impressed. Human intervention successful. Efficiency and coverage increased beyond predictions. Judgment and intuition demonstrated beyond programming limits. Romy nodded. It is not just about efficiency, he said quietly. It is about possibility. Humans can imagine solutions that machines cannot. Risk can be managed if approached carefully. Even as he worked, Romy remained alert. The hidden pipe had been risky, and small fractures remained. He inspected each joint again, testing supports and adjusting valves. Humans could combine courage, skill, and patience in ways machines could not. Each adjustment improved safety and reliability. By evening, the junction was fully operational. Water flowed steadily through the main pipes and the hidden route. The colony's network had been strengthened, and expansion areas now had a secure supply. Romy stepped back, surveying his work. The cave was quiet, except for the hum of water moving through the pipes. He reflected on the challenge. Machines calculated risk and followed rules. Humans imagined, adapted, and solved problems creatively. The hidden pipe had required judgment, careful planning, and precise execution. Romy had managed all three. He had trusted his instincts, analyzed the situation, and taken a risk that machines would have avoided. The Zytrons hovered around the junction, analyzing data. Observation complete, one said. Human judgment validated. Future planning should consider human intuition as a critical factor. Romy smiled faintly. Humans had always thrived on uncertainty, on the unknown. Machines could calculate, but humans could explore, discover, and create solutions where rules alone failed. Today had proven it again. As he prepared to return to the colony, he noticed faint markings on the junction walls. Symbols left by previous explorers hinted at additional channels or hidden passages. Romy's curiosity sparked. The caves held secrets that no machine had uncovered. Humans could see patterns, imagine possibilities, and act decisively. He logged the markings in his digital record, planning to explore them later. The sun was setting above the plateau as Romy climbed back toward the surface. He paused at the entrance, looking down at the pipes running through the cave. Water flowed steadily, a testament to human skill and judgment. The Zytrons hovered beside him, silent but attentive. Romy knew that even though they could not fully understand human intuition, they respected it. In the barracks that evening, Romy reviewed his work. The colony's network had been strengthened, and the hidden pipe had proven its value. Humans had made the difference. Machines could follow instructions and calculate risks, but humans could imagine solutions, adapt to new challenges, and succeed where logic alone might fail. Romy rested, thinking about tomorrow. There were still unknown passages, hidden channels, and challenges that awaited. But each day, each pipe laid, each hidden route discovered proved one truth. Humans could rise to challenges that machines could not predict. They could see opportunities, act with courage, and make choices that changed outcomes. The hum of the water network echoed in his mind. Romy knew that the mission was far from over, but today had proven the value of human intuition, careful judgment, and the courage to take risks. The colony's future was brighter because humans were willing to act where machines hesitated. Romy closed his eyes and allowed himself a moment of quiet pride. The hidden pipe, the risky final junction, and the careful adjustments had strengthened the colony's lifeline. Humans were capable of extraordinary things, even in the twisting caves beneath a distant planet, and as long as humans took initiative, no challenge, no obstacle, and no hidden passage would remain unsolved. The next morning, Romy returned to the cave with a sense of quiet satisfaction. The main junction had been completed, and the hidden pipe was fully operational. The colony's water network was stronger, more efficient, and capable of supporting new expansion. Yet Romy knew the mission was not fully complete. The caves of Tyrannus 7 were vast, twisting, and filled with hidden possibilities. Even after all his work, he sensed that other paths and pipes awaited discovery. The Zytrons hovered silently behind him. Their optics scanned the tunnels, measuring pressure, stability, and flow. Machines could observe and calculate, but Romy knew they could not anticipate the subtle advantages of human intuition. He led them deeper into the cave, following a passage that veered from the main network. Small vibrations suggested water movement in channels that had not been integrated into the network. Romy's instincts told him there was potential here. "This passage is unmarked," Romy said, his voice calm and focused. "It could improve backup flow to the colony. We need to explore it." The Zytrons processed the statement. "Unmarked routes present unknown risk," one said. "Recommendation: follow established paths." Romy shook his head. "Risk can be managed. Potential gain is significant." He moved carefully, balancing pipe sections and tools as he navigated narrow corridors. The walls were jagged and the floor uneven. Dust fell around him, but he kept his focus. Each section of pipe he laid had to be precise. One misalignment could compromise the system, yet each correct placement strengthened the network. As he reached a small chamber, Romy noticed a faint hum of water. It was subtle, almost hidden, but enough to suggest another channel. He crouched to inspect, brushing away dust and small rocks. The pipe was old, partially corroded and narrow. It had been overlooked by both humans and machines in previous surveys, yet Romy could feel its potential. He ran a sensor along the pipe, checking pressure and flow. The readings confirmed his instincts. The pipe could carry water effectively if integrated into the system. Romy smiled faintly. Humans had the ability to notice details that machines often missed. He would need to reinforce the pipe carefully, adjust connections, and monitor flow. Every step required patience, skill, and careful judgment. Hours passed as he worked in the cramped chamber. He reinforced old joints, tightened clamps, and adjusted supports. The pipe groaned slightly under the weight of the flowing water, but Romy's adjustments held it steady. Humans had the ability to adapt to unpredictability. Machines could calculate, but humans could create solutions in real time, using both logic and instinct. Finally, he was ready to open the valve. Water surged through the pipe, joining the main network. Sensors beeped softly, confirming stability and proper flow. Romy monitored the readings, making minor adjustments to ensure pressure remained steady. The secondary channel now fed backup water to the colony, creating redundancy that machines had not anticipated. The Zytrons observed, their sensors recording the process. "Human intervention successful," one said. Efficiency and redundancy improved beyond programmed expectations. Romy nodded quietly. Machines could record success, but they could not understand the thought process behind it. Humans combined imagination, observation, and careful risk-taking. That combination had turned an overlooked pipe into a valuable resource. He paused, looking at the network of pipes running through the cave. Each connection, joint, and support reflected careful planning and execution. The hidden channels, the risky junctions, and the newly reinforced sections all worked together to create a robust system. Humans had made the difference. As he worked his way back toward the main chamber, Romy noticed faint markings on the cave walls. They were old, perhaps left by explorers decades earlier. The symbols suggested additional passages and potential water channels. Romy made detailed notes in his digital log. The colony above would benefit from further exploration, and humans would lead the way. Machines could monitor and calculate, but discovery required courage, creativity, and initiative. By evening, Romy returned to the colony surface. The sun's green-tinted light cast shadows across the rocky plateau. He looked back toward the cave entrance, reflecting on the mission. The water network was now stronger, more reliable, and capable of supporting the colony's growth. Habitats would remain safe, greenhouses would flourish, and research facilities would continue without interruption, all because humans were willing to observe, imagine, and act. The Zytrons followed him to the colony command center. They displayed reports on the efficiency improvements, the flow readings, and the backup system's stability. Romy reviewed the data, satisfied. Every prediction had been confirmed, and the hidden channels had proven their worth. One Zytron finally spoke in a tone that carried a hint of respect. Human judgment validated. Systems improved beyond programming limits. Observation, intuition, and careful risk management contributed to outcome. Romy smiled. Humans can see possibilities beyond calculation. Machines follow rules, but humans create solutions. Later that night, the colony leaders held a small ceremony in Romy's honor. It was symbolic rather than formal. They called him the Pipe Master of Tyrannus-7, a title recognizing his skill, courage, and ingenuity. Romy accepted quietly, knowing that the real reward was seeing the water flow steadily through the colony. As he walked back to his quarters, Romy thought about the mission. Machines could follow instructions perfectly, but humans could imagine better paths. Humans could notice subtle details, weigh risk against reward, and take action that changed outcomes. The hidden pipe he had discovered, the risky junction he had navigated, and the secondary channel he had reinforced, all were examples of what humans could do when courage, skill, and imagination combined. The colony above was quiet now. Greenhouses glowed softly with life, habitats hummed with controlled temperature and air, and laboratories continued their experiments. Water flowed through every pipe, reaching every sector. The network was stronger, more reliable, and more capable than ever. Humans had made the difference. Romy returned to his quarters and sat quietly. He listened to the faint hum of the pipes beneath the colony. It was a soft, steady sound, a song of achievement in life. The water flowed evenly, a result of careful planning, observation, and action. Humans had taken risks machines would not, observed opportunities machines had missed, and created solutions that machines could only record. He thought about the caves of Tyrannus-7. Twisting tunnels, hidden channels, and narrow passages had tested him, but they had also revealed the power of human judgment. Each challenge had required focus, patience, and careful decision-making. Humans thrived in situations that were uncertain, unpredictable, and complex. Machines could monitor and calculate, but humans could imagine, adapt, and create solutions. Romy closed his eyes, feeling the quiet satisfaction of a mission completed. The water network was secure, the hidden channels reinforced, and the backup system operational. The colony's future was brighter because humans had acted. Machines could guide, measure, and assist, but it was human courage, intuition, and ingenuity that had made the difference. The next morning, Romy returned once more to the cave. He walked along the main tunnels, checking supports and flow readings. Everything was stable. The hidden pipe he had discovered now carried steady water to the expansion areas, and the secondary channel provided redundancy. The colony's systems had been strengthened beyond expectations. He paused to look at the network of pipes stretching through the caves. Each joint, each connection, each reinforced section was a testament to human capability. Machines could monitor, calculate, and respond, but humans could innovate. Humans could see what was hidden, imagine what was possible, and act decisively to achieve it. The Zytrons observed him, their sensors scanning. Observation. Human intervention has permanently improved system efficiency. Human intuition and judgment proved essential. Romy nodded. Humans make the difference. Machines assist. Together we achieve more, but humans create possibilities. He climbed back to the colony surface, feeling the sun on his face. The rocky plateau stretched before him, harsh and unforgiving, yet full of potential. The colony was safe, efficient, and growing. Water flowed to every sector, and the greenhouses thrived. Laboratories continued their work, and habitats were secure. Romy smiled quietly. The mission was complete, but the lessons remained. Humans could observe what machines missed, imagine what machines could not, and act decisively where machines would hesitate. The hidden pipe, the risky junction, and the reinforced channels were proof of that truth. As night fell over Tyrannus-7, Romy looked toward the caves. They held many secrets still, but humans would continue to explore, discover, and create solutions. Machines could calculate limits, but humans could push beyond them. Humans made the difference, and Romy had proven it. The hum of water echoed through the colony, steady and reliable. The hidden pipes carried life. The main junction supported expansion, and the secondary channels ensured stability. The colony had survived challenges that machines alone could not manage. Humans had made the difference. Romy took a deep breath, feeling the quiet pride of accomplishment. The caves, the pipes, and the colony were all stronger because of human skill, intuition, and courage. The mission had been difficult, full of uncertainty and risk,